This is like subliminal messaging.
Creativity's unlocked.
Do you want to, like, dude, this is a safe space, right? Everything is allowed. Well, not everything. Just everything, not everything.
Not everything.
So, welcome to Getcha Some Productions podcast, episode 38, 39, something like that. This is a podcast covering all things related to music production, from the first note to the last fan and everything in between. Our motto is to create constantly and inspire others to do the same. So before you even listen to this or watch this, press pause and go practice your instrument. Go sing a song, write a song, play some lyrics, write one line of lyrics. Rock out. And then come back to the show. So that's it. Create constantly, inspire others to do the same. Every episode is, am I saying this part? Every episode is a live business meeting between me and Dan. Dan is over here. I wish we could make... Okay, success. Zoom. This is Zoom success. So every episode is a live business meeting between me and Dan as we attempt to build a media empire. And as we proceed to build a media empire right before your very eyes, or fail at doing such. But this is not one of our normal episodes. This is like a book club episode where we're going to talk about this book. You should buy this book and read it along with us. It's called Unlocking Creativity, A Producer's Guide to Making Music and Art by Michael Beinhorn.
Yeah, I'll link below. We'll have a link below for the book.
Yeah, we'll have a link. Click on it and then go back. Dan and I reviewed the introduction of this book and we discussed it in episode 36. So you can go back to episode 36. And actually that reminds me, I think this is episode 39 coming up. This is episode 39. So we're going to talk about the first chapter, which is titled The Record Producer. Is there anything you want to say before we just launch into it?
No, let's do it. Let's get into
Let's just launch into it. Let's like get the juices. We're going to read stuff and just get the juices flowing on it. So, like we did last time, did you have any thoughts about, did you like underline anything, or do you want to like shoot off of my
I didn't do any underlining. Okay, no. I just sort of took the whole chapter in as a vibe.
Good.
And had some notes.
Nice. So you have some notes. So you stopped me. My plan for this episode was to do what we did last time and just just read from it and just, shoot ideas back and forth and discuss them and dig in. So stop me.
It worked well. Yeah.
Wait, say that again.
That worked well last time. Let's stick with that dynamic for this.
Great. I just set a timer.
You have some stuff underlined or passages that I'd like to start off with.
Yeah, I do. So on page 9, it says, most people don't really know what a record producer does. In fact, most artists and record company executives don't even understand what record producers do. That's kind of like most artists and record companies don't even understand what record producers do. So that's the first line. And then below that, he goes, beneath the surface, a record producer is often an objective outsider, an independent consultant. a music fan, a song co-writer, an arranger, a recording technician, a computer programmer, an artist development specialist, a support system, a psychologist, and a catalyst. But at its core, record production is mainly about being a conduit that helps the entire creative process flow most efficiently while maximizing the creativity of all participants on the project. And then I'm just going to read one more line. To be clear, a record producer's primary directive is to help the artist excel. So, I mean, I just highlighted that because it was like it's like one of the most insane lines I've ever read in anything. Like, a record producer is all these things. A record producer is some kind of super genius, superhuman or something.
Yeah.
What the fuck, man? Did you get that vibe, or do you have any feedback on that?
In fact, the whole rest of the chapter in my mind, well, maybe with the exception of the part where he goes through the stages of the process.
Yeah.
But all of his stories and descriptions of everything ties back to that introduction.
Yes.
About all the roles that the producer is going to be playing in the process. So just in reading this chapter, I realized like how much the producer was missing in my experiences in the recording studio. We never had a producer. When I recorded with you for the handshake, you were the producer. And there was one point in the recording process where you took on a bunch of these roles for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because I was whatever, like, you know me well enough, and you were like, okay, it's whatever, this isn't popping.
Right.
You're like, blah, blah. And we sat down and talked, and like, you know, we have a good relationship. We communicate well.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't feel defensive or weird. I was just like, help. I was lost. So you stepped in to do that role. But anyway, I thought it was, he was just describing like that missing piece that I always wanted in a recording studio. Right. Or recording sessions. I wanted that to be there. I'm like, wow, you're describing all the anyway, it's obviously super important.
Like you said, like, it's like, I agree with you. Practically every experience that we've had, many of my musical experiences in recording have been with you. And so, and I don't think we've ever had like a really conscious sort of thing, like where somebody was driving the ship, so to speak, and there was some sort of like wise elder that was overseeing the whole process that sort of there didn't bring this cohesive factor to it. But I think also, it's so funny that you said that, because I was talking with Justin Wirtz, who was instrumental in building that Handshake album as well. And Justin was hilarious. He was just like, based on the book, because Justin has this book as well. Justin was like, based on the book, you guys didn't even make a record. We made a demo. I was like, yeah, kinda. Yeah. Because like no one was really, we didn't know what we didn't know, in a way. And that's okay. But I think like, if I had to distill like that, he makes this long list, but if I had to distill it all the way down to like, what's the most important thing? Maybe creating a safe space for people to be creative is probably the most important thing. Because once you like have this energy of whatever that energy is that is combative or has expectations or something, whenever you introduce that, you stifle creativity. So, because reading a big long list like that makes me feel like, Jesus, that's a lot. That's a huge task, and that puts a lot of pressure on one person to be a producer and fulfill all those roles on the one hand, but on the other hand, it's like it's something to aspire to, and maybe something you like sort of never get to. So it's sort of like it's the ideal on the one hand, but on the other hand, if you could distill it down, like if you're scared like me, if you're scared of like what that all entails, how would you distill it down to one thing? And it's like, okay, well, maybe it's just like if you have to let the artist excel, you have to create a safe space where like pretty much everything's okay. And even if you're making constructive criticism, you're doing it in a way that, with love or with whatever, with being supportive at the same time, so that everybody can just be free to create at all times.
Well, see, that sentence, to be clear, the record producer's primary directive is to help the artist excel. That means different things for different people and different artists. They're going to need different things.
Yeah. So you have to be flexible like that.
There's all that different examples, all those different things you might have to do to help them excel.
Yeah.
You could have to do so many different things.
So all those different things, actually, it's sort of like, it gives us a list of things we have to learn in a way. Maybe one day we'll put all those things in order and go down the list, and do them one at a time or something. Or we'll just have them on a big poster on the wall and be mindful of them, Maybe that's what it is. I don't know. Maybe there's a t-shirt that says that. Or maybe maybe we have a bunch of hats made up and each one of those things is on each hat and everyone has to wear the hat in the studio. Should I move on to the next line?
Yes.
Please move on. So the next line I underlined, and actually I'm going to be as surprised as you when I hear them, because I haven't reviewed the chapter in a while. So the scope of this producer's work is anything in the creative process that, by his estimation, requires assistance. So, we don't have to dig too deeply into that, but it's like, just basically goes back to the fact that your job is anything that needs to be done, unless you want to dig into that a little more. I'll go on to the next one.
Yeah.
Okay. So he goes on to say, in the second, the producer who makes recordings in accordance with the way he hears things, this approach is more abstract, more personalized, and caters to the uniqueness of the artist, and consequently is more open-ended. I think I highlighted that because it's sort of like, in a way, the open-endedness of like dealing with different creative spirits, I guess. So just to give it a term, like dealing with different types of creatives is inherently more open-ended. And so it's like, you want to make a science out of it, but the science, you can't be too heavy-handed with it, because you want to get out of the way to a certain extent.
Right.
And let each person work the way they're comfortable, and I find it like, maybe just because me and you have worked together a lot, and I think like we have, we just got into a sort of a vibe with it. But, we've worked with let's just say we worked with lots of different personalities, I guess. Right.
Yeah.
And it's like being flexible,
Yeah. So just to that, we've worked from artists ranging from total amateurs with strange personalities, thinking of like, is that Margaret's cousin?
Oh, yeah, sort of.
You know what I mean? But like, think about it. Like you and I are such a team. We were able to accommodate him as an artist and like make it work. And it was super fun. You know what I mean?
Sort of like, yeah.
We created a safe space. and
Right.
like people would express themselves, and it was like a great memory. It wasn't until we didn't like produce a product in that. It was for the experience.
Right.
Um, and, and we've learned to tap dance around huge egos.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And everything in between.
Right.
And then like total professionals, who are just amazing, or like Joe,
Right.
he's just super talented guy, and just like that didn't require much work to integrate someone like him at all, because he had his shit together as an artist, so he's good to go.
That's actually really an important point, because I didn't think of Joe.
Yeah.
But he was a professional at the time we started working with him. And I think all the other people we used to work with were, even though I guess you could make a case they were professionals in a certain sense, and all of us were in a way. He was a professional in that he walked in the door saying, "I am a professional," and he had very strong opinions. And maybe, and I wish we actually have tons of recordings of those. I'd have to go back and dig them all up. But working with him was, he did facilitate a sort of flow to everything, because he did have an expectation of just professionalism and efficiency and all this other stuff.
Yep.
That's so
Joe.
Let's give Joe, this is thumbs up to Joe.
Joe, you're the man.
He's a good dude, yeah.
Yes.
And a strong personality.
Yes.
Which is great, because I feel like, it's like a drummer, they bring the beat, but they, if a drummer has personality, they can bring the beat plus a whole mess of flavor along with it. Like, it's a solid foundation, but it's not just foundation, it's flavor.
Right.
I'm going to go on. I'm going to read this bad boy.
Yep.
So this is page 12. I feel that to do this work properly, it's essential to contribute to it artistically. It's imperative to speak up when you have an idea that will improve or potentially save an artist's song, and to stick to your guns if you believe in your idea. It's also vitally important to know when to disengage emotionally, to stop being an artist in your own right, and to let go of your great ideas if they are operating at cross purposes with those of the artist or the project. In the most ideal sense, a record producer should have no interest or agenda in dominating or manipulating what the artist does, just in intensifying and distilling it. Drop microphone.
Boom, like salt.
Yeah. It's just like, this is something that ever since we started reading this book, this is the one aspect of it that's been bugging me out so much, is that it's like, as a producer, you are an artist because you're imposing your aesthetic vision to some degree. Like, how could you not? But there's also this other part of the process where you have to step out of the way and just be a conduit, or just be a support system for the artist, And so this is one aspect of it that I've just sort of been struggling with it, because it's a little bit more abstract for me. You know what I mean? Like, how do you know when you need to get out of the way versus how do you know when you need to step in and say, and make a big choice, make a big aesthetic choice? Like, whether that is, this whole section needs to be quieter, or this whole section needs to be mixed a totally different way to bring that emotional impact, or this whole section needs to be cut out, or this is perfect, I just need to shut the fuck up, But how do you know?
Well, that's part of the process. He lays out the stages. Like, you have to know the artist, their work, their potential, their personality, their vision. You have to understand them. That's not something everyone can do.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's sort of like, I think about stuff like, when you're in, it's because it's art, and it's like you don't even, it's tough to know in the moment whether what you're hearing is, and you're trying to help someone make this thing, and there could be such a fine line between the fact that they could be totally insane and making something that's total crap, or it's just so cutting edge that you don't get it yet, and there's like an ethereal, like hard, it's, I don't know what to call it, but there's this, or ephemeral, I'm not sure what the word, and I'm not sure if I'm using any of these words properly, but there's something that's like out there that you can't quite grasp, that's like a function of wisdom that is just completely abstract, and you don't even get it. You can't possibly understand it until you do. That you just can't, and you can't put it into words. It's like, I'm thinking of the album The Streets. Remember Original Pirate Material by The Streets? And I first heard that album, and it was so out there, and it was so different that at first I thought it was complete crap, and I thought this person can't be serious. And then I listened to it a bunch of times, and I was like, holy crap, this is actually genius in its way.
Yeah.
And I didn't know at first. And so, maybe it's just like, maybe it's just like your commitment to the unknown. You just have to sort of, there's a point where you just have to give it up and, step into the void, and peace, and allow yourself to let go to a certain extent, to let new things happen. I don't know. Is that,
as a producer, you would have to always have that as one of many elements going simultaneously. It's saying here, you're not going to be a control freak. Can't be.
Yeah. Yeah.
In a general sense, but in other ways, you absolutely have to be. You know what I mean? Like he goes into like quickly. He just mentions in passing like the signal path and like making sure the sound is right. You know what I mean? And they can tell he's not really saying as much, but like absolutely no compromises there. Like it didn't sound the way it was supposed to. Like no. But in other times, he's saying you just have to realize, you just have to let go of your idea entirely.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah. I guess you just don't know until you know, or maybe it's all part of the process of like growing.
But stepping back, I mean, it's really interesting reading this, because I always knew that like just like remastering or mastering something in the recording process, that there's a step that's really important, or this person that's really important, but I don't know what they do. So like reading this book,
mastering, like, or yeah, you said mastering.
I said mastering is like another example of another. This is producing. But it's funny because this whole role he's describing makes perfect sense. I just never I don't know. It's why this is interesting. Like, it's just like, this is someone I wish I had, a person like this had been around when I was in the studio. Again, coming back to that. Mm-hmm. This also, I guarantee you, is in the end is going to make way more sense to me than like any book on like how to mastering and stuff like that. Because I realize I don't have the ears for it. I just don't. That's a whole other thing. But
unfortunately, I don't think I do either.
Yeah, it's a whole. It's black magic, okay?
It's all black. It might all be black magic. Yeah.
But I had to step back just for the stylistic on the writing style of this chapter. Did you notice how many different approaches and styles he wrote this chapter in? He had like the imaginary dialogue at the end, the very like English class like 201 like introduction. He would switch the gender of the artist from pronouns to female to male. He'd go back and forth intentionally, I'm sure. He would do this thing where he writes in the tense where like you might imagine yourself. He like puts you in like the action. There was like a lot of like writing. I'm just picking this up. This isn't about the content. It's more as the style of writing. I found it kind of engaging. He kind of jumps around a little bit in styles and layout, and then he creates like a list. You know what I mean? So for reading, it's really easy reading for me.
Yeah, me too. I noticed that too. I noticed the pronoun thing, definitely. Yeah. But I also noticed that, yeah, he does like use a lot of different, I guess, literary techniques to, yeah. I don't know. It's just, you know, and it may be just like this guy might be just one of those types of weird geniuses that just, you know, it's like this book, you know, like, I guess it, like, also I'll go one step, I'll take what you just said and I'll go one step further and say like, this book might not be useful at all. Right?
Right.
Right. Ultimately, this might be like the way this dude, he just expresses himself and the way he's done things or where he's come to in life. And this might be like what he's arrived at over years and years of doing this. But he didn't write this. He wrote this after he already produced a bunch of stuff. And did he know all this? Not necessarily. Yeah, this dude. Did he know? Wait, hold on. Did he know everything in this book when he made all those famous records? Not necessarily. So was all this necessary to make all those famous records? I don't know. I doubt it, you know? So it's sort of like, and besides, it's like, you know, maybe any schlub can walk into the studio with Herbie Hancock and make a good record.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, you gotta come in. You have to dress for success. Like, check out that scarf.
Wait, you just blacked out.
Oh, my phone said I'm on low battery, so we should wrap this up anyway.
Oh, crap.
I want to look at that scarf.
Oh, yeah. Check out the scarf. I mean, I don't want to throw shade on the guy because he's very accomplished and he's written like a phenomenal book. And I
bet you anything the people at the photo shoot were like, here, throw the scarf on. He's like, what the fuck?
Well, he must live in LA, so he probably lives in LA.
Let's email him and ask him if that scarf is part of his regular wardrobe or if he had to wear that.
It says here, well, this is one of those lighter kind of scarves. You know, this is not a winter scarf. So this might just be for the kicking up the dust in LA. You know, just to keep the dust out of your shirt.
Could be.
That's my theory.
Okay. I'm gonna wrap this up, Keith.
Wrap it up.
I'm enjoying this book so far, and I think that we should increase our pace at which we are doing this book, because otherwise it's going to take us 10 years. We're going to do chapters 2 and 3.
You want to do chapters 2 and 3?
Honestly, that's like 15 minutes of reading. I think we can do it.
You want to wait, but it's 15 minutes of reading, but it's over 3-4 hours of talking. Okay.
You and I can talk for an hour just about shoelaces, okay? So like, whatever.
Don't bring up shoelaces unless you're ready to talk about them. So
okay, next podcast, shoelaces, but then
I agree with you. Let's wrap up this chapter. We're wrapping up this chapter. Yes. Next time we talk, we'll talk about chapters 2 and 3.
2 and 3.
And then we'll blow through it. But actually, let me go back and just say one thing.
Yes.
This book is phenomenally good. And I think it will actually be useful. Do you think it's useful, like in terms of just, it seems like it'll be...
Already, I would be hesitant to go and record with a band or group I was taking seriously and not talk about who our producer is going to be. Already. So it's already changed my perspective on things.
Yeah, so, I agree.
Yes.
Yeah, this book is sort of and it gives you a lot of ideas about record production. So it's very, very useful. So buy the book if you're really into production, if you're into just like it says on the cover, unlocking creativity. If you're into unlocking creativity, this book will give you some ideas for sure. So, and if you want to support the channel, buy the book through the channel, through the link that will be provided.
Keith.
Daniel.
There we go. We said our names. All right.
We fulfilled our purpose as podcasters.
Awesome, brother. I'm looking forward to the next podcast.
Yeah, man. Safe. Yeah, dude. You too. Enjoy your dinner party.
Thank you. Bye.
Later.